Jimmy High Roller has a harsh truth about Victor Wembanyama. Wembanyama, right? Wembanyama? I've been saying Wembanyama, but now I'm looking at it. It does not look like Wembanyama. Wembanyama. Anyway, well, I mean, so I don't know what the harsh truth is other than he turns out to be an Anthony Bennett. But they said harsh truth about LeBron, and look what he did. So, I don't know. 7 foot tall, point guard, crazy. I know if y'all seen him, but he is a great prospect. I don't know. Should I start like doing reactions to prospects, like high school prospects? I bring that back because high school mixtapes like 5-6 years ago was top tier. Now I don't really hear much about him or see much about him. But if you want me to do reactions to like new prospects and stuff like that, let me know. Victor Wembanyama is definitely insane from what I've seen. Step back threes into put back dunks. You don't see that very often unless it's in 2K. So yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and better get into it.
In 1997, the San Antonio Spurs were one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. Finishing the season with just 20 wins and with a rookie head coach leading the way, their future was uncertain. Their two best players were an aging Dominique Wilkins just 1 year away from his last NBA season, and their franchise player in David Robinson, who was sidelined with a season-ending injury that would linger for the rest of his career. The franchise was in a downward spiral with no end in sight. But what they did have was one more chance to make it right. Coming off the worst season in franchise history, the Spurs were given the third best odds to get the first overall pick in the 1997 draft. Exactly what the organization needed to rejuvenate their roster. But according to pre-draft evaluations, the gap between the potential first pick and the third pick was massive. Get the third pick and settle for a small forward out of Utah named Keith Van Horn, or win the lottery and land on the best NBA prospect in over a decade, a 4-year starter out of Wake Forest by the name of Tim Duncan. And on the day of the draft lottery, the future of the Spurs franchise and the future of the NBA would change forever.
The second pick in the 1997 NBA draft goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. And that means that the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft goes to the San Antonio Spurs. Congratulations.
See this guy right here? That's Spurs chairman Peter Holt. And in this moment, he was the happiest man on earth because he just won the first overall pick in the 97 NBA draft. Who he would pick was already a foregone conclusion. But not Peter or anyone else at the time knew that the Spurs just won the rights to one of the greatest players in the history of the game. And this very moment was the beginning of one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history. And now 26 years later, luck would have it that the Spurs have found themselves right in the middle of another historic night once again. Because they now have the rights to the #1 overall pick in the 2023
They're doing
NBA
the
draft.
exact
And the
same
prospect
thing
they plan on
again.
picking up is claimed to be bigger.
Their team is so dirt right now. This team is so dirt. It's so bad. It's so bad. I'm trying to think of one player. The guy with the colorful hair. I forgot his name. Bro, their roster is cooked. They definitely need this.
And better than anything we have ever seen. As we get closer to draft day, the hype surrounding Victor Wembanyama is growing by the minute. Experts and analysts claiming he's
this is what it's going to be. It's going to be the nonsense. Okay, so this is what the harsh truth is going to be. Oh, NBA prospects are going to... Yeah, everybody's like, if he doesn't turn out to be better than Michael Jordan, he's already a flop or some nonsense. I've seen some crazy... But please, like, setting high standards like that is insane. Just let him play his game, and we'll see if he's good or not. But
greatest prospect
setting
in
standards
the
like that
of the sport. Some
is
even
something
claiming
else.
He's the best prospect of any sport ever. The franchise that gets him believed to have hit the basketball jackpot that will set them up for 2 decades of success and championships. But how good can one prospect actually be? Fans already talking about future championships for the Spurs since they've essentially landed Victor. But turning potential greatness into real winning and championships is a task that very few players have ever been capable of doing. Today's video is sponsored by Draft.
Come on, DraftKings, sponsor me. I need the money. Jimmy High Roller definitely doesn't. He has enough.
Out of the last 25 #1 overall draft picks, how many do y'all think have won a Finals MVP? Maybe 4 or 5? How about 1? There has been one #1 overall pick in the last 25 seasons who has won a Finals MVP.
The GOAT.
But Finals MVPs are about the toughest thing to win in all of basketball. So what about regular season MVPs? How many of the last 25 first overall picks
I say like
have won
4.
at least one
I know
of
Derrick
those?
Rose did.
2.
Oh,
LeBron
that's
James
it.
and Derrick Rose. That's it.
Wow.
But how about this? How many
I
of
was
the
right,
last
too.
25 #1 overall picks do you think have won a championship? They could be a role player for all I care. As long as they have a ring.
Dwight did, right? Or am I tripping? I'm tripping. Dwight didn't win the ring. Kyrie did. Anthony Davis did. Was Wiggins? Wiggins wasn't on the Warriors. Yao Ming didn't, right? What's that like? 4?
Counts. But the answer is still just 6.
Ah,
Winning
6.
in the NBA is
Andrew
very,
Bogut. Oh, Dwight Howard
very
did. I wasn't tripping. I wasn't. And then Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie, Anthony. Okay. I didn't know Andrew Bogut won a ring. But
hard to do. But fans and experts are already putting this burden on a kid who hasn't even been drafted yet. But we've done this before. Unrealistic hype and expectations met with inevitable disappointment. It feels like just yesterday, Zion Williamson was being regarded as the greatest basketball
player,
prospect
yeah.
of the decade. And yet here we are, 4 years later, and Zion has played in just 29 games over the last 2 seasons and has yet to play in a single playoff game. Great player, but as of right now, far from the franchise-altering force he was hyped up to be.
Sure.
Here's another player who was said to be a generational prospect coming into the NBA, nicknamed the Fresh Prince, being that he was the successor to LeBron
Michael
King
Porter Jr.?
James. This is Ben Simmons,
Oh.
a player that was too afraid to take a shot in a playoff game and peaked in
I
his
do
second
remember
season
this.
in the league. And we do this to young players far more often than you would think. DeAndre Ayton is a solid NBA player. Nowhere near a superstar, but he could be a key piece on a championship-winning team. Now, would you believe that just 3 months before he was drafted, he was labeled as a, quote, anomaly? In the moment, it always feels like the next guy up is going to be the guy. And then shortly after, we forget about the unwarranted comparisons and move on to the next guy. But to really understand how rare it is to draft a player who becomes an all-time great, stays healthy, and stays loyal to the franchise that drafted him, we have to look at the teams and players who actually did it. If we're talking about transcendent players who led the team that drafted them to multiple championships, then that list only includes 7 players who were drafted in the modern NBA. Over 3,000 players drafted since 1980, and 7 of them went on to be a loyal, franchise-altering talent. These players right here are icons, legends in their franchise and to the game, and they only come around about once in a decade. Now, if Victor is as good as advertised, he could be added to this list one day, but the path to get there is long and riddled with players who fell short. But in the NBA, even the stars, superstars, and once-in-a-generation talents struggle to win the ultimate prize. Luka Doncic has been a phenom since he entered the NBA, so far exceeding all pre-draft expectations. And yet 5 seasons into his NBA journey, and he has yet to see the finals, and even missed the playoffs in this last season. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball, but even he had to abandon the team that drafted him to join a juggernaut of a team to win a championship. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid. The list of all-time great players who have yet to win a title or find any real success in the playoffs is massive, which makes the expectations on Wembanyama all the more baffling. To think that
Dame is like top 5 point guards right now. No ring. He's been on that team forever. And nothing.
failed to adapt their game and skill sets to the NBA, and the average win share falls to 6.7. And by season 5, by the time we as fans have made a decision on these players, the average win share total falls to just 5.9, about the same as the average starter in the NBA. This is the career of an average #1 overall pick in the NBA. We see #1 overall players as the guys who went on to have great careers, guys like Kyrie and Anthony Davis and LeBron. But we forget that far more often, these #1 overall picks pan out to be players like Markelle Fultz, Andrea Bargnani, and Kwame Brown. But even for the groundbreaking prospects who are league ready the day they put on an NBA jersey, the result is still rarely a championship or real hardware or impact. Over the last 25 years, the players who had the largest impact in their rookie season were Chris Paul, Ben Simmons, and Blake Griffin, followed by the 12 next best rookies of the last 25 seasons. You are looking at the greatest rookie seasons of this century, and yet only half of them were even the best player on their team by the end of their first season in the league. But I want y'all to take a guess at how many of these players even made the playoffs in their rookie season. Got your answer? 2. Which means out of the 15 best rookies who've entered the league over the last 25 seasons, not a single one of them led their team to the playoffs. And among these same 15 rookie sensations, by their third season in the league, only 4 of them managed to lead their team to the playoffs as the best player on the team. It is very hard to win in the NBA, but like some sort of gambling addict, us NBA fans like to count the wins while ignoring the losses. Somehow the countless misses we've had are outweighed by the 1 or 2 we got right. Is Victor Wembanyama the most hyped NBA prospect of all time? Well, no. I'm not sure. No. Some experts that have been around a lot longer than I have would like to say so. But if my memory serves me right, I can recall a 17-year-old LeBron James drawing so much attention that he managed to have an Ohio high school basketball game featured on national...
On television, yeah, bro. Ohio, bro. Nobody cares about Ohio. What goes on in Ohio? No offense if you're watching this from Ohio. Appreciate the support, but like you don't hear much other than like the Bengals, which is that in Ohio? I think it is, and then the Browns. But other than that, it's like there's nothing really goes on there. LeBron James only playing, what is this, 2 games in this season? Looks like he's 2-0, and he's on live television. 17, the best basketball high school.
No television. Long before social media, the likes of LeBron James, Patrick Ewing, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were all household names before they even put on an NBA jersey. I don't know if Wembanyama is at that level of hype at the moment, but he's getting there. And with that amount of hype comes overwhelming pressure to perform. It's easy to
It's crazy that he's not. And it's social media era, so it's like more people are definitely going to see it versus like LeBron, where there was some social media, but it's more like newspapers, like that ESPN magazine, The Chosen One. That's like that got to be one of the most popular like memory people see of what LeBron was making the face. That got to be one of the most popular covers of a magazine ever. So it's like, I don't know. I'm surprised. I guess he should be, but I guess we'll see.
Back and watch this kid play. See his incredible tools in action. 7 feet 5 inches tall, 8-foot wingspan with a silky smooth jump shot and world-class defensive instincts. And one can only assume he will find immediate or even eventual success in the form of championships and cultural impact in the NBA. Coaches and scouts who have been around the game for decades and have seen every prospect rise through the ranks over the years are saying Victor Wembanyama is better than all of them. It would take an era-defining talent to come into the NBA and transform a franchise into a dynasty. But if Victor is everything we think he is, he may just be the next player to do it.
I mean, if there's any coach that could do that to one player, it's Pop. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.
I'm just talking on this beat, like it's just you and just me. We can say the side of the